Three loud beeps, a short pause, and three loud beeps again. That specific pattern is a universal distress signal from your home to you, and knowing what it means instantly creates a safety buffer between you and a silent threat. It matters because unlike a chirping low battery, this pattern means lethal gas is present right now, and reacting correctly in the first 2 minutes determines whether you stay healthy and safe. Hello, I'm Dr. Laura Simmons. Welcome to Senior Safety Check. I've also added a helpful guide to the Senior Health Guide app, linked below. Now, let's dive in. Here is a quick question for you to answer in the comments. Do you know exactly how old your current carbon monoxide detectors are? We need to start by clearing up a very common confusion that puts many people at risk. Your safety alarms speak a language, and the difference between life and death is often just understanding the vocabulary of those beeps. Most of us are used to the annoying, intermittent chirp that happens when a battery is dying. You know the one I mean. It happens once every minute or so, usually at 2 in the morning, and it is just a single, short chirp. That is your detector telling you it needs maintenance. It is annoying, but it is not an emergency. However, the emergency signal is very different. It is 4 rapid beeps for fire or smoke. But for carbon monoxide, the signal is 3 distinct beeps. It goes beep, beep, beep. Then there is a brief silence. Then it repeats, beep, beep, beep. If you hear that specific rhythm, I want you to understand that it is not a malfunction. It is not a suggestion. It is a declaration that the air inside your home has reached a toxicity level that can harm you. The very first thing you must do is stop whatever you are doing. Do not go looking for the source of the beep. Do not walk down to the basement to check the furnace. Do not go into the kitchen to check the stove. Your only job in that moment is to get fresh air into your lungs. Stay with me here. This distinction is vital because carbon monoxide is a gas you cannot see, you cannot smell, and you cannot taste. Our senses, which usually protect us, are completely blind to it. Let me tell you about a woman named Martha from Ohio. Martha is 72 and lives alone in a lovely 2-story house. Last winter, she was watching television when she heard a loud beeping coming from the hallway. It was that 3-beep pattern, but Martha had never really thought about the difference between alarm sounds. She assumed her detector was just broken or old. She actually went to the utility drawer to look for a screwdriver to take the batteries out because the noise was bothering her. While she was looking for the tool, she started to feel a little lightheaded. She sat down on a kitchen chair, thinking she just stood up too fast. She decided to call her son, who lives 20 minutes away, to ask him to come over and fix the broken alarm. When she described the 3 beeps to him, he didn't hesitate. He told her to hang up, leave the house immediately, and wait in the yard. Martha was reluctant because it was cold outside, but she trusted her son. She put on her coat and went to the front porch. By the time the fire department arrived, the levels of carbon monoxide in her home were high enough that she likely would have lost consciousness within another 20 minutes. It turned out a bird had built a nest in her chimney, blocking the exhaust from her gas fireplace. Martha is safe today because she got out, even though she initially misunderstood the signal. The reason Martha felt lightheaded brings us to the medical side of this. I want to explain this simply because understanding your body's reaction is part of your safety net. When you breathe in fresh air, oxygen enters your lungs and hops onto your red blood cells, which carry it to your brain and heart. Think of your red blood cells like little taxicabs for oxygen, but carbon monoxide is a bully. It is chemically much stickier than oxygen. If carbon monoxide is in the air, it pushes the oxygen out of the way and fills up all those taxicabs. This means your brain and heart start starving for oxygen, even though you are breathing normally. This leads to what we call cellular suffocation. This brings me to the symptoms. This is where it gets tricky, and why we call this gas the great imitator. The symptoms of mild to moderate carbon monoxide poisoning look almost exactly like the flu. You might feel a dull headache, usually in the front of your head. You might feel a bit dizzy or weak. You might feel nauseous or have an upset stomach. If you are at home and suddenly feel like you are coming down with a flu, especially if you felt fine an hour ago, I want you to pause and look around. Is anyone else in the house feeling the same way? If you have a pet, is the pet acting strange or lethargic? The flu does not hit everyone in a household at the exact same moment. If you and your spouse, or you and your dog, both start feeling groggy or sick at the same time, you must assume it is the air you are breathing. Listen closely. This next point is critical for everyone, but especially for us as we get older. Our bodies do not process oxygen as efficiently as they did when we were 20. If you have any existing heart or lung conditions, like asthma or COPD, you are more sensitive to this gas. You will feel the effects sooner and more severely than a younger person might. This brings us to Arthur, a lovely gentleman from Leeds in the United Kingdom. Arthur is 78. It was a chilly evening, and he had turned up his central heating. He started feeling very tired and had a bit of a headache. Arthur made a very common assumption. He thought he had eaten something bad at lunch or was just tired from the day. He decided the best thing to do was to go to bed early and sleep it off. Going to sleep in a home filled with carbon monoxide is incredibly dangerous because you will not wake up when the symptoms get worse. You will simply slip into a deeper unconsciousness. Fortunately for Arthur, his neighbor came by to drop off some mail and heard the alarm sounding from outside the front door. The neighbor banged on the door until Arthur woke up, very groggy and confused. That confusion is another major symptom. The gas affects your cognitive ability, making it hard to think clearly or make safe decisions. Arthur's boiler had a leak, and that neighbor's intervention saved his life. So, where does this gas come from? It is not just about heavy industry or factories. It comes from the everyday appliances that make our lives comfortable. Anything in your home that burns fuel can produce carbon monoxide. This includes your gas stove, your gas dryer, your water heater, your furnace, and your fireplace. I want you to hear this clearly. These appliances are generally safe when they are working strictly as designed. But things change. Vents get blocked by debris or animal nests, just like in Martha's story. Pipes can crack with age. Appliances can wear out. Another major source is the garage. This is particularly relevant for those of us with attached garages. We all know we should never leave a car running in a closed garage. But sometimes mistakes happen, or we think we will just be a minute. This happened to Robert from Florida. Robert is 65 and very active. After a hurricane knocked out power in his area, he set up a portable generator. He knew he shouldn't run it inside the house, so he put it just inside the open garage door, thinking the open door would provide enough ventilation. He wanted to keep the generator dry from the rain. The wind, however, was blowing towards the house. The exhaust from that generator drifted into the garage, through the connecting door, and right into his living room. Robert started feeling incredibly weak in his legs. He described it as if his legs just turned to jelly. He sat on the couch and found he couldn't get up. That is a terrifying reality of severe poisoning. Your muscles stop responding before you lose consciousness. Luckily, his daughter stopped by to check on him after the storm. She recognized the smell of exhaust. Though remember, pure CO is odorless. The generator exhaust had other smells, and she dragged him out to the driveway. Robert spent 2 days in the hospital receiving oxygen therapy. He is fine now, but he learned a hard lesson about airflow. Let me slow down here. I want to talk about what you should physically do if that alarm goes off. We said earlier to get out, but let's be specific about the steps. Do not try to find the source. Do not open windows to air out the house first. Every second you spend opening windows is a second you are breathing the poison. Your priority is evacuation. I want you to leave the door open as you exit, which will help ventilate the space for the firefighters. But do not waste time running room to room opening windows. Get everyone out. If you have pets and they are near you, take them. If they are hiding or you can't find them instantly, do not delay your own exit to search for them. This sounds harsh, but if you collapse, you cannot help them or yourself. Once you are outside, get to fresh air and stay there. Call emergency services, 911 in the US, or your local emergency number. Tell them clearly, my carbon monoxide alarm is going off. They have equipment to measure the air quality safely. Do not go back inside for a phone or a coat or medication. The fresh air is your medicine in that moment. Now, let's discuss prevention, because the best alarm is the one that never needs to sound. We mentioned appliances, but there is one appliance in particular that we often overlook because we use it so frequently and it seems so harmless. I am talking about the gas stove in your kitchen. Many of us spend a lot of time in the kitchen. It is the heart of the home. When you use a gas stove, you are burning fuel in an open space. Usually, this is fine, but look at the color of the flame. You want to see a crisp blue flame. That indicates the gas is burning efficiently and cleanly. If you see a yellow or orange flame, that is a warning sign. A yellow flame means the gas is not burning completely, and incomplete combustion is exactly what produces carbon monoxide. If your stove flames are consistently yellow, or if you see soot building up around the burners, it is time to call a technician. It might just need a cleaning, or it might need an adjustment, but do not ignore that visual cue. Another preventative measure involves your furnace. We rely on our heating systems, especially in the colder months. But a cracked heat exchanger in a furnace is a very common source of leaks. You cannot see a crack in the heat exchanger yourself. It is buried deep inside the unit. This is why having an annual inspection before the heating season begins is so vital. It is not just about making sure the heat works. It is about ensuring the exhaust is staying inside the pipes and going out the chimney, rather than leaking into your bedrooms. I also want to touch on a habit that many of us have, which is warming up the car in the winter. If you have an attached garage, never warm up the car with the garage door closed, obviously. But even with the garage door open, it is risky. The safest choice is to open the garage door, immediately back the vehicle out onto the driveway, and then close the garage door behind you. Let the car warm up outside in the open air. It might be a bit chilly for a moment while you walk back inside, but that minute of cold air is much safer than filling your garage with invisible fumes. This brings us to a crucial question about the alarms themselves. Even if you are careful with your car and your stove, you need a safety net that works? Many people believe that because they have a smoke detector, they are safe from carbon monoxide. This is not always true. Smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors are two different tools. Some modern units are combined, meaning one device does both jobs, but many older homes only have standard smoke alarms. You need to check your ceiling or your wall right now. If your device does not explicitly say carbon monoxide or have the chemical symbol CO written on it, it is likely just for smoke. Let's look at Linda from Michigan to understand why checking this matters. Linda is 74 and lives in an area that gets heavy snow. During a particularly bad winter storm, snow drifted up against the side of her house. She didn't realize that the snow had completely covered the external vent for her furnace. Because the exhaust gas couldn't escape outside, it backed up into the house. Linda had lived in that house for 30 years and never had an issue. She started feeling drowsy while knitting in her living room. Thankfully, her daughter had installed a plug-in carbon monoxide detector just 2 weeks prior. The alarm sounded, those 3 loud beeps, and Linda was able to get outside to her neighbor's house. The fire department found deadly levels of gas inside. Without that specific alarm, the smoke detector she had on the ceiling would have remained silent because there was no smoke, only gas. I want you to hear this clearly. You need a carbon monoxide detector on every single level of your home. Putting one just in the basement near the furnace is not enough. You need one near where you sleep. If a leak happens at night, the alarm in the basement might not be loud enough to wake you up through a closed bedroom door. You want the alarm to be within earshot of your pillow. There is also a lot of debate about where to place them on the wall. Some people think carbon monoxide is heavy and sinks to the floor. Others think it rises like heat. The truth is, carbon monoxide is roughly the same weight as air. It mixes with the air in the room very easily. This means you can place the detector on the ceiling or on the wall. If you have trouble reaching up high to change batteries, it is perfectly fine to use a plug-in unit that goes into a standard wall outlet near the floor. The most important thing is that the air can reach it, so do not hide it behind a curtain or a sofa. Now, let's talk about the lifespan of these devices. This is something almost everyone overlooks. We assume that as long as we change the batteries, the device is good forever. It is not. The sensor inside the unit that actually sniffs the air for poison has an expiration date. It is a chemical sensor, and it degrades over time. Most carbon monoxide detectors are only good for 5 to 7 years. Some newer ones last 10 years, but none of them last forever. If your detector was on the wall when you moved in 15 years ago, it is likely a plastic decoration at this point. It might still beep when you push the test button, because that tests the battery and the siren, but it might not be able to detect the gas anymore. Please take a moment today or tomorrow to take your detector down and look at the back. There will be a date of manufacture stamped on it. If it is older than 7 years, or if there is no date at all, please replace it. It is a small investment for your peace of mind. Let's move to a story from Spain involving a gentleman named Carlos. Carlos is 68 and loves his vacation cottage in the mountains. He uses a butane space heater to warm the main room because it is efficient and quick. One evening, he brought the heater into the bathroom to warm it up before a shower. He closed the door and the window to keep the heat in. This was a critical mistake. Fuel-burning portable heaters need oxygen to burn. In a small, sealed room like a bathroom, the heater quickly used up the oxygen and started producing carbon monoxide. Carlos began to feel incredibly heavy and confused. He sat on the edge of the tub, unable to understand why he couldn't stand up. His wife, who was in the kitchen, wondered why he was taking so long and knocked on the door. When he didn't answer clearly, she opened the door and found him slumped over. The rush of fresh air from the open door likely saved him. They dragged the heater out and ventilated the room. Carlos was lucky, but he learned that you must never use unvented fuel heaters in a confined space. This is important. If you use space heaters, kerosene heaters, or even a fireplace, you must ensure there is a source of fresh air. A slightly cracked window can make a difference in air pressure and circulation. Now, I want to address a quieter danger. We have talked about the loud, acute emergencies, but there is also something called chronic low-level carbon monoxide poisoning. This happens when there is a very small leak. It isn't enough to trigger the alarm immediately, or maybe the levels fluctuate. The symptoms of this chronic exposure are often dismissed as just getting old. You might have a persistent headache that won't go away. You might feel constantly tired or have trouble concentrating. You might feel a bit depressed or irritable. Pay attention to this part. Here is the clue that it might be your house and not your health. Do you feel better when you leave the house? If your headache disappears when you go to the grocery store or visit a friend, but comes back a few hours after you return home, that is a massive red flag. Your home environment is making you sick. If you notice this pattern, you need to have your appliances checked by a professional, even if your alarm hasn't gone off yet. So, what is your action plan? Let's make this very simple. First, check your alarms. Make sure you have them. Make sure they are not expired, and make sure the batteries are fresh. If you are not sure, just buy a new one. It is worth it. Second, respect the beep. If you hear 3 beeps, do not rationalize it. Do not assume it is a mistake. Treat it as a real threat. Evacuate immediately. Third, maintain your appliances. Have your furnace and chimney inspected once a year. It is easy to skip this to save money, but a blocked chimney or a cracked furnace is a silent killer. Fourth, never burn fuel in an enclosed space without ventilation. This includes grills, generators, and cars. Even if the garage door is open, keep the engine off or move the car out. Finally, trust your body. If you feel sudden flu-like symptoms, dizziness, or confusion, and it eases up when you get fresh air, listen to that signal. It is your body telling you the air is not safe. Taking these steps helps you stay independent and healthy. You have worked hard to enjoy your home and your time, and a few simple checks can ensure that your home remains your sanctuary, not a source of danger. It is about being proactive rather than reactive. We often worry about things we cannot control, but this is one risk we can almost completely eliminate with just a little bit of awareness and the right equipment. You do not need to be afraid of your furnace or your stove. You just need to respect them and keep an eye on them. If videos like this help you, hit subscribe to keep getting practical tips for your health. To recap, know the 3 beep sound, check the dates on your alarms, and always get to fresh air first if you suspect a leak. Even small daily steps can help you feel steadier, safer, and more confident in your own home. This video is for education only and is not personal medical advice. Please consult your own doctor for any health concerns.